Hi, it's Diane from Two Girls Treasure in Florence, South Carolina. So let's get started today with our timeless teal on this buffet. Now, the first thing you want to do is make sure you get your colors. You get your prep. The train is early today, y'all. Get one of these special measuring cups that we have from Rethunk Junk. They come with a lid so you can close them up. They come with measurements on the side so you know exactly how much paint you're using for this project. And if you're mixing colors, you'll need this. For pieces that have a shiny finish, a laminate surface, you'll want one of these. This is our Scotch Brite Scrubby Pad, and we'll use this with the prep so we can cut that shine and get that paint to adhere to this shiny surface with no problem. I have our Miracle brush, our 2-inch brush, and my favorite, our Wooster 2-inch shortcut. I love these, y'all. An old rag for the prep. And we're going to start by taking the handles off. This piece has some fiberboard components, so I'm a big fan of real wood product, but back in the late 70s, early 80s, a lot of our furniture was produced with a fiberboard construction, so it's not always the best. If you have spots that look like they need to be filled, just get some filler, and after you prep, fill those spots in. Can you roll Rethunk Junk paint? Of course you can. The nap rollers tend to use a little more material. The foam rollers tend to leave a little bit of texture. But because I used the scrubby, it still left some residue. So anytime you use your Scotch Brite Scrubby, make sure you go back over your piece with prep and a soft rag. Look at that dirt. This is why you don't skip out on prep. You got to make sure you prep your surfaces really well. If you don't, you are risking the quality of your paint job. The thing about your prep is you want to go ahead and make sure you do your whole piece first, because after you start painting, you don't want prep interfering with what you've already painted, and it will. Prep will take the paint back off. Handy little tip if you want to distress something. Wet distress your Rethunk Junk paint, which gets very difficult to do after a few hours. Spray a little bit of prep on it. Just a little bit. Spray it on your rag, and it'll make your distressing a little bit easier. How do you clean something like that? Spray your prep. Make sure you get into the crevices, all of the grooves. Down. You see this? These are great for this. Watch how easily I can get in the grooves, across the tops, into all of those little architectural sections, and get that clean. Now, as tedious as this seems, it is, but this sure beats having to sand or strip a piece of furniture, doesn't it? Done. Just like that. Just like that. Now the piece really is prepared for the paint. We're going to start with the very top. I'm just going to dampen my bristles. If you're painting a flat, smooth surface, you want to move with that flat, smooth surface. And watch as we go, because I will normally physically move the entire length of the piece I'm working on so that I get smooth movement of my product. Can you see? I'm too far into the camera. There we go. But make sure that you keep your strokes smooth and even. Yes, it's self-leveling, but you also don't want to paint crazy either. Always check your edges and your ridges for extra material, because you don't want to leave any drips or runs. And if you a lot of architecture here, so I want to be careful about drips and runs here, but I want to make sure I fill in my blank spaces. So a little bit of pressure with my brush. This is where my miracle brush comes in so handy, especially on these edges like this. There we go. Now, let me show you the difference between using my 2-inch Wooster, my favorite brush, and using my miracle brush. Now, where I did this architecture, because I had a lot of material on my brush, I now have runs and drips. So I'm going to damp my bristles on my miracle brush, and I'm going to clean this up right here. It gets in those little architectural crevices, prevents any overage, any drips and runs, and it fills it in real nicely, y'all. In the crevices, in the corners, you don't want that buildup, because that doesn't make a pretty finish. But you take that miracle brush, this is a 5/8 tapered, and there's no damage done. I'm going to fill in some blank spots using my Wooster 2-inch. And this is the final lap with Timeless Teal. After it dries, I may have a section or two that I want to touch over, but basically, for the most part, this is complete with one coat over a 1970s, 1980s fiberboard construction faux wood server. 1 hour. And that is completely prepped, scrubbed clean, wiped clean, and one coated. Boom. I am so impressed by this paint absolutely every single time I use it. With a little bit of touch up here and there, this piece of furniture is going to be amazing. So, any questions?